Every time I do something, my wife says I should get a divorce. I said okay and left. I'm staying with my sister right now. My wife and I have been married for 4 years and together for 5. We had been friends for a long time. We have a 4-year-old child together. As she is a psalm, I bring in most of the money for the family. She chose not to go back to work. We've had fights about once or twice a month for the past year and a half. Just so you know, I do help out with our daughter. I clean, cook, and do other things with both of them. We had a fight when she first said she wanted a divorce. It was funny because her sister had called to ask if she could stay with us for a while because she was having relationship issues. I told her she could. That made my wife mad. I told her that her friends had stayed with us for 5 weeks a few months before and hadn't done anything around the house. She was also just there. There was no talk or anything. My daughter and I had never met her before. My sister is beautiful and gets along great with our daughter. I thought my wife was the same way. She stayed with us for a week and helped out around the house by cooking, cleaning, and watching our daughter when we needed her to. I thought we left the past behind and moved on. Most of the time, the fights are over small things, and I don't start 90% of them. It was something I brought up, but she always said she or we didn't need it. I had it last night. She got mad at me because she thought I worked too much, that she feels alone, and that I'm not a good dad, and then she said, I want a divorce. I told her that the only reason I work so much is because she spends all of my edit. When we had the fight, I used our money. When I typed it, it came out as my money by mistake. We agreed to split the money between paying bills, saving for the future, buying things we don't need or use, and having fun. She wouldn't work or go to school to help her out. I take care of my family, for my daughter. Every important event, party, doctor's visit, or anything else she needs, I'm there. She wouldn't go to therapy or training to get help. This is no longer something I want. My lawyer will send her the papers when she's done writing them. I got things for my daughter and gave them to my sisters with her. She says she's sorry over and over again in calls and texts for 2 days now. She wasn't serious. She wants to see a therapist and talk to a counselor. I need to help her. She misses me, etc. I'm lost. I love her. She's a great mom. However, I can no longer do this. Strangers on the internet, please help. Yes, I do have a lawyer. For work and my family. I've known her since I was a kid. Hello, everyone. This isn't a happy, rainbow-filled news, though. A few months ago, I wrote about how my wife kept threatening to leave me all the time. That is, until I got my daughter and left. I needed to vent, so I wrote this. You can see the original in my bio. To answer some questions people have asked, I'll talk about one of the comments I got on my August post. I want to bring up some things that were missed or not given enough attention. If I had to, I would do everything all over again, even take my daughter. I told her wife she needs to get out there, do something, anything, get a job, start a hobby, make new friends, etc. Asked about getting help from someone. She wouldn't listen or think about anything I told her. That's what she said. Or the trouble wasn't her. My kid comes first. My wife and I don't fight in front of or near her. I had a bad home life as a child. I remember when my dad got mad at my mom. My dad swore at me because my mom left. That's something I never want for her. That night, I have no idea what my wife planned to do. No one can be forced to get help. They need to wish for it. Really want it. People will only do what it takes to make it look like they changed if you make them. I can be blamed for this. But I can't let my daughter grow up thinking that this is okay. As in, this is how relationships should work. I promised myself as a child that I would never be like my dad. Okay, I had a lot to think about after I posted. It was important to me that she knew how serious I was. When we got to a table, I told her I could no longer do this. There needs to be an end to the fights and divorce threats. She agreed, but she promised not to say it. I told her that it would be thrown away for good the next time. We agreed to see a therapist together. It opened my eyes. Things were said, feelings were shared, and seeing things from a different point of view helped us understand each other better. After a few meetings, I thought things were going better. She started to put in more work. She looked for work and got one. She also made some friends and found a hobby. Before we got into a fight because she forgot about plans she had made with new coworkers and we had plans for our daughter that she couldn't change. At what I thought was the end of the argument, she said under her breath, I knew marrying you was a mistake. I looked at her, and the most vivid memory I have is that I didn't know the woman standing there. I thought she looked different. I had no idea who the woman in front of me was. I asked her to say it again. She told him, I should have split up with you years ago. I left and went to the plans with my daughter by ourselves. In the end, I filed for formal separation. The papers we both signed said that even though we aren't living together, we are still officially married and won't be seeing anyone else during this time. The Finances will be split up, but the bills will stay split up the way they are now. I would still get insurance through work. Among other things, it said that therapy sessions would go on as planned for both individuals and pairs. I would move in with my sister, and our daughter, 70, was shared between us along with my sister, 30. I asked my wife to take my daughter one day when I had her. She agreed after I told her a week ahead of time. When I dropped her off at home at 7:30 in the morning, I saw a strange car in the driveway. When I first saw her, I thought she must have a friend come over. Out of respect, I ring the doorbell, which feels weird to do on your own doorbell. I then wait with my daughter until a shirtless guy about 20 opens the door and asks who I am and what I want. When he calls out, my wife, she comes around the corner in a robe, and her face changes from shocked to shocked to shocked to sad. The formal separation will end in 3 months, as you might expect. I'm asking for an order ending our marriage. Oh, my daughter is safe. She doesn't know what's going on besides the fact that her parents don't like her. As I already said, she is my top concern. I guess I did the one thing I didn't want to do. What I swore I would never do to myself. I guess it could be better though. In the end, I turn out just like them. I have no idea what a good relationship looks like. I want to show my daughter how much I love her and raise her well. Thanks for all of your love, words, support, and criticism. Let's move on to the next tale. Second story. Is it wrong of me to expect my sister to keep her end of the deal we made about custody? There's a lot of history here. My sister Lily, F35. My niece Emma had her F9 when she was 26 years old. At the time, she was living with my parents with her boyfriend. They had both just finished drug rehab, so they were all set. She and her boyfriend couldn't stay clean for long, and she used drugs while she was pregnant. She begged me to take Emma for 2 months while she went back to treatment to get clean when Emma was almost 2 months old. I was 22 years old and living in an efficiency apartment while going to law school. My parents said they couldn't take care of a baby and suggested that my sister go to foster care, so I took my niece in. When my sister got out of rehab, she restarted dating her drug-using boyfriend. This started 5 years of a circle in which one of them would get clean, and then the other would drag them back down. Emma was under my legal guardianship, but it was only meant to last for a short time. I agreed to take Lily back every time she brought it up, but only if both of them passed a drug test, which never happened. My sister called me to tell me she was pregnant again when Emma was almost 6 years old. She changed after this, and she gave birth to my cousin after being clean for almost 8 months. It must have been hard for both Emma and me when she moved back in with her parents after living with me. I get to keep Emma every weekend, but she stays with her mom and dad during the week. We worked out a parenting agreement in court in that way. For the first year, we all went to family therapy together. Once we got into a routine, we quit going. The problem is that my sister is pregnant again, and she and her ex-boyfriend, who is now her husband, say they don't want Emma to come with me on the weekends because she acts up when she gets home. I completely understand what's going on. My sister and I talked about how hard it must be for Emma to have to fight her brother for her mom's attention when she's not sick, with morning sickness. When Emma is with me, she is the center of attention. To give my sister a break, I offered to also take care of my nephew on the weekends, or we could go back to family therapy to help Emma deal with these changes. What my sister really said was that Emma was going to take a break from spending time with me. I let her spend 2 weekends with Emma, but when she wouldn't talk to me, I told her I would take her to court. We agreed on who would have custody of Emma, and I am still one of her formal guardians. She said I was making fun of her past and wouldn't let her be a real mom to Emma. I feel torn because I've raised Emma for almost 6 years and love every moment I spend with her. But am I getting in the way? Emma calls me every night to find out what we're doing over the weekend and why I don't have time for her. I think my sister is also making it sound like I don't want her to come. I only want the best for Emma, so Reddit AITA? Change it to clear up some confusion. Emma is 9 years old now, and my sister has been clean for more than 3 years. We moved Emma along very slowly. 2 weekends a month for a year she spent with her parents. After that, we switched places, and now I have weekends. For those who say I make it hard for them to spend time with their families on the weekends, I have always been open, and if they told me they had plans, they could take Emma. Not because they want to do things with Emma, but because they don't want me to do things with Emma. They send her brother to stay with my parents on Saturday and Sunday so they can relax. For the past 2 weekends, they've also sent Emma to stay with her grandparents, so I don't see why it would be any different if I took her. My sister doesn't work and takes care of her kids. They spend a lot of time together because she doesn't work. She weighs almost 300 pounds and doesn't leave the house very often. It always looks like a storm hit. When Emma was 3, my parents bought her a house in the hopes that it would help her get back control. They are able to make ends meet since my Bill has an IT job. Every week I drive Emma to karate, swimming and Girl Scouts, and I check in on her all the time to make sure she is doing well. In the last 3 years, my Bill has relapsed twice. Both times, he was kicked out of the house, so Emma didn't have to see anything. There are people who say Emma is their babysitter, but I don't believe them. My sister stays home a lot, but I make sure Emma has lots of things to do, because I think it's good for her to be busy and out of the house. Also, they paid her $20 to watch her 3-year-old brother for 2 hours not long ago, which made her very happy. The comments about what might be going on with Emma at home scared me a lot. I got in touch with Emma's old therapist and set up a meeting for Friday after school. She always has time to talk to her therapist by herself first, and then I come in and we talk together. She will always know I want her and have time for her. I'm also going to ask her if she likes living with her parents, or if she'd rather we spend less time there. I hope everything goes well, and thanks for your help. Useful thoughts. During the change, or how things went, they would never be able to break our link. We moved her. Very slowly, they had her every other weekend for almost a year before we moved her to a new place. I'm a lawyer, so I know every loophole in the law, and everyone in the system. That's why I have no question that I could get custody back. What if I thought she wasn't safe? I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do. She makes it clear that she sees me as a mom, but my sister feels terrible about not being there and is working so hard to be the best mom she can be. The trees make it hard to see the forest. Slowly, they had weekends for the first year, then we split the time 50/50 for almost a year, and now I've had weekends for almost a year. About how Emma acts, things were going great until my sister got pregnant again. She loved having a little brother, and this was the first time she called my sister mom. I pay for her to go to the private school where she went to preschool and kindergarten. She did really well there with her stable friends and teachers. She began to spend the first 2 or 3 days of the week with me instead of her parents when she got home from the weekend. That was when my sister thought Emma was following the rules, and then it was my weekend. The loop kept going. My sister has told me straight out that she is jealous of me. Not only does she admire the close relationship I have with Emma, but she also thinks I can give Emma a lot of things that she can't. She says I spoil her, and I'll be honest, she's my girl, and I want to give her everything. I think she just doesn't pay attention when they tell her to do things like put away the iPad or do the dishes. It's tough because our relationships aren't really the same. On the weekends, I keep her busy with activities and don't let her watch TV or movies until right after dinner. She only has to put her dishes away because I have a machine. Being able to talk to her has never been a problem for me. The fact that Emma called me mom makes me feel bad. For the first 3 years of her life, she called me mom. When my sister came to visit, Emma passed out when she called me mom. Emma was crying and screaming, and she asked me how I could have let her think I was her mother. Emma was really scared and confused, and when my parents got involved, they told Emma to call me something else. Anything else. It looks like most people have an NTA view on AITA, but there isn't a consensus bod. Hey, I've had a lot of people ask for an update, but the last month has been so crazy. Well, to sum up, my sister gave birth, and I now have all 3 children. Emma told me that Lily had been messing with her mind a lot during an emergency therapy session I took her to. My sister told her that I had never wanted her, and would give her back as soon as I could, so she had to beg me to take her as a baby. As much as I admire my sister, I didn't want to take my niece in at first. After my first year of law school, I moved into a small room in Flatbrook. It scared me to think about taking care of a baby while I was in school, even for just a couple of months. I didn't know how I would do it. I depended on government help and my parents a lot. But that didn't mean I didn't love her or want to give her back. At all times, I tried to do what I thought was best for her. After the therapy session, I asked for an emergency custody order based on parental alienation and the fact that my sister was using marijuana, which was against the rules for her to have possession. It's against the law in my state, and she doesn't have a prescription, so I asked for a drug test and a home visit, pointing out how bad the house was. I said the house was a mess, but it got so bad that it was a health risk and a hoarding problem. Police took me into emergency custody, and on Monday they went to my sister's house to pick her up. This much I knew would happen. I said in my last post that I was sure I could get control of my kids back because I knew she used marijuana. To be clear, I didn't think it was a problem. It helps her with her headaches, but I wasn't against turning it into a weapon if I had to. In this case, though, things went wrong out of the blue. In the last post, some people said it was clear that I don't like my sister. I don't. I love her, and I think that most of her problems come from the fact that she is too open and hangs out with bad people. But let me be clear, I hate my Bill. When CPS showed up, they found that my Bill had been growing psychedelic mushrooms and pot in the basement. They found marijuana and other drugs in both of them when they were checked for drugs. The fentanyl was probably mixed with whatever they were using. They took my cousin away right away and reached out to me to take him. Their arrests were both linked to my Bill's gardening efforts, and I really don't remember seeing it. Even though I knew she was unhappy and using, I didn't see any signs that she would start using again. I'm so sorry I betrayed you. I quickly got used to having 2 kids, but I knew she was going to have another baby soon. I went to see my pregnant sister in jail and made a deal with her. In return for me paying her bail and giving her a lawyer, she gave up all parental rights to all 3 kids. This gave her the best chance of not going to jail. I felt bad that I had to pay my bill and his lawyer's fees as well. A week ago, she gave birth. Thank goodness she didn't have to do it in jail. Also, thank goodness my second nephew seems to be healthy, even though she uses drugs and booze. I have full custody of Emma and both of her boys. I am now in the process of filing for legal adoption, which is not the same as guardianship. I am sure I will be successful, since both parents gave up their rights. This is the right thing for me to do because I don't want to be stuck waiting for her to clean up before I can take the kids back. Also, it shows that I can't trust her. I don't want to be a co-parent with someone who lies and tricks like she did. Emma is doing great. I have never seen her happy. The baby and I are also doing well, even though we've had some sleepless nights. Ian, my 3-year-old nephew, is the one I think about the most. Things are going well for him so far, but I don't think it's hit him yet that this will last. There's no doubt that we will do family treatment. I hope I've talked about everything. I'm very grateful to everyone who helped me see that Emma was not okay. I don't want to think about what might have happened without you. It doesn't seem possible. She didn't use birth control because she thought she couldn't get pregnant, which is why she got Emma in the first place. When she was a girl, one of her ovaries had to be taken out. The doctor told her she had almost no chance of getting pregnant again. Emmy was born breech, so. My sister had to have a cesarean section. She also had one with both of her other children. The doctor said that there were problems when my most recent nephew was born, and because she has a lot of scars and only one ovary, it's not likely that she will have any more children. She might be able to have another child. But I don't want to worry about that right now because the chances are so small and I have other things to deal with. Useful thoughts. Want to know more about law school? Law school was over for me almost 7 years ago. When I first got out of law school, I worked as an assistant. Now, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, but sometimes I take on family law cases as well. Right now, I'm getting a business license in international law because I was born and raised in Europe and now live in the United States. I'm interested in becoming an attorney for an international company where I could travel. When I look for a new job, I will have to think about the kids. I never had a chance to put down roots because I was always traveling as a child. I love learning about new countries. Has anyone from your family said anything? The 2 of us are taking a break from each other. My parents were furious when I asked for emergency custody, and we both said some rude things. They had a good point. It looked like my sister's family had everything under control, and my parents thought I was trying to mess that up. When everything was over, I think things changed. This is the first time they have refused to help my sister get out of trouble. I'd rather give it some time since they haven't reached out yet. Right now I'm tired and stressed out, and I don't want to say anything else I might regret.